Alright, what we got here on the first one, we go 5 into the second minus 9 into the second, we should end up with negative 4n to the second, and then plus 6ny and plus 13y squared. On the next one, we should end up with 19m squared, excuse me, that's a 19m squared plus 2mt and plus 6t squared. Now the next one here we have to distribute, so we should end up with 10 h to the third k to the third minus 5 h to the second k to the fifth and plus 20 h to the third k to the fourth. And we go down here, we distribute that, we should end up with 8x to the second, and we'll also distribute to that there, we should end up with minus 4x squared y squared, and distribute in here in the middle, we should end up with plus 4x squared y squared, oops, that's a squared, and then times that, minus 2 y to the fourth, and now those will cancel, so I should just end up with this term minus that term. Sorry, I don't have a room to do it. Now here I am going to do the special product. Square the first one, so I have 25c squared, leave a space, square the second one, so I end up with a positive 16. Now to get the middle term in here, I'm going to take 5c times 4, or negative 4, and get negative 20, and then double it. So I get negative 40c. Alright, let's keep on moving. Alright, now let's continue with the factoring of the polynomials. Alright, looking at this one here, looks like we've got a lot of stuff to factor out. So we'll go ahead and start by factoring out, let's see, what goes into there? 15, right? No, not 15, I get to 5. So we will factor out the 5 and an a to the second, excuse me, that's an a to the second, and a b and a c. So if I do that, I should end up with 7ac minus 9b, right? I believe that looks good. Okay, now we look in here, we're going to need to factor by grouping. So what comes out of that first group, it looks like I can factor out a x is all, right? So then I'm left with 3y minus 4. And if I factor out a 3, right? No, 2, sorry, 2. 2, I get 3y. That's a y. That's a y there. Minus 4. Hey, I got the same thing. So what I can do now is I can factor out a 3y minus 4 out of both of them, and I'm left with x plus 2. And if we look at the bottom one there, let's see, we have to go to 2 parentheses on this one. T's are in the first position, and because that's a minus, those are both pluses, or excuse me, those are both minuses. And factors of 24 that add to be 11, 8 and 3. Alright, so let's do some more factoring down here. Ooh, looks like we got some stuff here that has to be done by the box method. Now, because I don't have the space and I don't really care for the box method, I am just going to do it this way. I believe that I have to factor this one. It has to be a 5y, excuse me, 5y. Why can't I get the y there? And this has to be a 2y. They're both minuses, and I need the product to come up to 31. So that would mean I'd have to have a 5 there, so I have 5 times 5 is 25, and this here has to be a 3. Let me just kind of do a check. Yeah, everything looks good. Alright, number 10. Well, this one's also going to have to use the box method, but it looks like I can factor out the number. Can I take out an 8? No, I can only take out a 4. So I'll factor out the 4. Man, leave the 4 there, and then it's 2n squared minus 9n plus 10, right? Okay, now we need to factor that down, and I think we can do this without too much problem, right? So, again, I'll leave the 4, and, okay, the only way to get a 2n squared is that has to be a 2n, and that has to be an n, and then let's see, they're both minuses again, so that makes it nice and easy. And I need these factors to be factors of 10, so the 2's got to go there, and the 5 has to go there, and let's see, that should work itself out. Okay, down here at the bottom, again, I'm going to factor out the common factor. I'm going to factor out a 2x squared. If I do that, this becomes x squared minus 9. Hey, that's a special product. So now this equals, leave the 2x squared, and now it's x plus 3, x minus 3. There we go. And the bottom one, ooh, I've got a 9. That's rough. And a 49. Now what? But I think, off a wild guess, I know that that's a perfect square and that's a perfect square. I tend to know how textbooks work, but you can do this on your own. You can do the box method. But I'm just going to assume that that's a 3a and that's a 7. Ooh, then that's not going to work. I'm sorry. Let's try something else then. Let's go A, and this is going to have to be, one of those is going to have to be a minus. Let's try this. Ooh, let's see. Factors of that. Got to think on that one. And after careful deliberation, it looks like this one is prime. Okay, now if that would have been a plus, then we would have had something here, but again, if you tried it now, because what it actually comes out to is, okay, the only factors here are of 49 are 7 and 7, and then 1 and 49. There's no way I can really play that there. The same with 9, it's 3 and 3 or 1 and 9. I cannot configure that back to get it to a 42, so that's as far as I can go with that one. All right, let's do some solving here. Okay, if I distribute that, I should get negative, ooh, excuse me, I didn't put that on the right button. I get negative 18n plus 12 equals negative 12 minus 8n. Okay, let's add the 8n over, so now I have negative 10n equals negative 24. So I should have n equals, let's see, they're both negative, right? So I should end up with, what, 6/5? Okay, so we go down here. Let's see. Distribute that. I should still end up with, let's see, 8n plus 11 equals 4 plus 10n minus 5. And then we have, let's see, combine that to make that a negative 1. Right, so this is now negative 1. And we subtract the 10n over, so we get negative 2n equals, subtract the 9 over, so you get negative 12. N equals 6. 15, okay, again, this is the one I told you, do not overthink this. Set them both equal to 0. So n minus 2 equals 0 means n equals 2. And if 3n plus 2 equals 0, that means n has to equal negative 2 over 3. 16. Let's factor out a 8y, right? That's the biggest factor. And if I take an 8 out of 16, I'm left with 2y minus 1 equals 0. Now set them both equal to 0. So 8y equals 0 and 2y minus 1 equals 0, meaning y either equals 0 or y equals 1/2. Number 17. Let's subtract 12n over and put it in the middle. So it's 8n squared minus 12n plus 4 equals 0. Now here, I can factor out the 2 and then divide it out because I'm setting it equal to 0. If I'm just factoring, I do have to keep it. But here, I'm just going to divide everything by 2. Or actually, I can divide everything by 4, I'm sorry. So I'm left with 2n squared minus 3n plus 1. So now if I factor that, excuse me, I'm kind of running out of space here. I'm going to end up with 2n, and it should be minus 1, and n minus 1. So if I set those equal to 0, I should end up with n equals 1 and 1/2. Okay, so I need to solve this second one. I would use the box method here, but I think I can figure this one out without it. I think we can let that be a 2y, and that's a 2y, and I probably need to put a 7 in somewhere. Let's put a plus there and a 1 there, and let's set that equal to 0. So that means my answers are y equals either negative 1/2 or it equals negative 7/2. And number 19, hey, those are both perfect squares and I'm subtracting them, so that's 7w plus 5 and times 7w minus 5. So that would give me my answers as w is equal to positive 5/7. So that's a positive 5 up on top, or negative 5/7. Okay, number 20. The length of a rectangular garden is 8 feet longer than it is wide. The garden is surrounded by a walkway that is 4 feet wide and has an area of 320 feet squared. Find the dimensions of the garden. Alright, so let's kind of think about this. I've got a garden here, and it is 8 feet longer than it is wide, so the width is 8. So that means this is w plus 8. Now, it is surrounded by a fence, right? Of some type, or a sidewalk, and has an area, the garden is surrounded by a sidewalk that has an area that is 4 feet wide and has an area of that. Find the dimensions of the garden. So there's this sidewalk here that is 4 more feet on either side, kind of like that. So to find the dimensions of that then, of the sidewalk, it is w plus 8 by, and then that's the w plus 8 is here to here, and then the other one is w plus 16, and that has to equal 320. Alright, now I need to bring that down. I need to distribute that out and factor that. So I have 320 equals w squared plus 24w plus 8 times 16 is 128, I believe. Right? Why doesn't it look right? I think that's right. Okay, now I subtract the 320 over, so I get w squared plus 24w minus 192 equals 0. All right, now we need to factor that down. All right, factors of 192. Let's think about that. And after careful deliberation, looks like my factors that come out would be w plus plus 32, couldn't find my notes there, and then w minus 6 equals 0, which means that one doesn't work because it comes out negatives, which means w is equal to 6, so that means this fence is 6, and if that's longer, it is 6 by 14. Okay, it says a triangle has an area of 77 square inches. Find the length of the base if the base is 3 greater than the height. Okay, so let's do some erasing here. Why is my eraser not working? Don't know what the deal is with that. Alright, so let's go, let's say we got a triangle of 77, so that's 77 equals 1/2. Find the length of the base if the base is 3 greater than the height. Okay, well the height then has to be, let's see, the base, we want to find the base. Well, let's just find the height. I'm gonna kind of do this different. I'm gonna say the height is h, which means then the base is 3 more than that, so it's h plus 3. I'm gonna go ahead and times the 2 over because I don't want to deal with the 1/2, and so that makes that over there should be what, 158, 154. Sorry. So this equals 154. Which is equal to, and then distribute that, I should get h to the second plus, sorry, that's a 3, plus 3h. Now I subtract the 154 over to the same side. Alright, so then I should get, sorry about this, I can't get my eraser to work, plus 3h minus 154 up there. Alright, factors of 154 that subtract to become 3. And that should give me, let's see, h has to e plus 14, and then h minus 11, which means h has to be 11. Well, if h equals 11, the base is 3 greater than that, so that means the base is 14. Sorry, that's kind of a tough spot. The volume of a box is 192 cubic inches. The height is 4 inches. The width is 2 more than the length. Find the missing dimensions. Alright, so I have 192 is equal to 4 times, let's see, the width is 2 more than the length. So that means I have length times length plus 2. Right? Alright, divide everything by 4 to get the 4 out of there. So that should, the other side equals 48 then. So, and then I should end up with L squared plus 2L. Sorry, I'm kind of running into my own work there because I can't get my eraser to work. So, now I subtract 48 over, and I'm just going to have to use this down here a little bit. L squared plus 2L minus 48 equals 0. Alright, factors of 48 that subtract to be 2, that's easy, or subtract to be 2, that's 8 and 6. So that means L plus 8 and L minus 6 equals 0. Well, the one that works then is 6, L equals 6, which means W has to be 8. Okay, so we look at this problem here, find the time it takes the ball to hit hit or reach 38 feet above the ground. So using that equation, this is now going to go in there, and so then I have 38 there, and now first thing I would do is I would subtract that off, so I get negative 16t squared plus 48 minus 36. Okay, divide everything by 4 there, right? I don't think I can take an 8 out, right? Yeah, I can only take 4 out, so then I get, or excuse me, let's take out a negative, and this equals 0 now. Let's take out the negative 4. So if I take out a negative 4, that means it's a positive 4, positive 4t to the second minus 12t plus 9 equals 0. So let's see, factors there of that, I will tell you, are 2t minus 3, and then 2t minus 3, right, equals 0. Perfect. If we do that, which means t has to equal 3 over 2 or 1.5 seconds. Okay. So let's see, the length here, or excuse me, the area of a rectangular room is 238. The width is 3 less than the length. So, okay, kind of works the same here. Alright, number 24, the area of a rectangle is 238. Okay, so look at this. Let's see, the width is 3 less than the length. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to choose to do it like this. We're going to say that W, excuse me, I did that again. That W times, so W would be the width, and so my length then, would have to be W plus 3, right? Because the width is 3 less than that. So let's write it like that, and then we'll say equals 238. So let's distribute the W through, so we get W squared plus 3W minus 238 equals 0, since I subtract the 238 over. All right, and then we will go down to 2 parentheses here, just like we have for most of the rest of the problems. And so this is W, and let's see, my notes show plus 17, and W minus 14, right? Okay, now only one of those can work, so it does have to be W equals 14, which means the other one is 17. So the length has to equal 17, just like that. All right, and number 25. 25 is done a little different. It says one number is 5 times another number. Well, I don't know what either number is, so I'm going to say that x equals 5 times the other number. All right, because now, so it says one number is equal to 5 times the other one. Now it says the product of the two numbers. So that'd be x times y is equal to 245. What are the two numbers? Well, I can use this little note here and replace it with x. Now I have 5y times y equals 245. Well, that's 5y squared then. Equals 245. Divided by 5, we have y squared equals 49, or excuse me, 49. So, y has to equal 7. Well, if y equals 7, then x has to equal 5 times 7, which is 35. Okay, and now again, I do apologize. What was that number? Number 20, I think. Yeah, number 20, I did do that entirely wrong, so, because for whatever reason I can't subtract, and I thought that 32 minus 6 was 24, it's not, it's 26, so that means this question right here, that is not correct. I didn't do that right. I did it correct in class, and what I'm showing for the answers is that I came up with 12 and 20. Again, I won't give you something like that on the test, so just be careful when you try to work that on your own.